You know what that means? I burned it all. Hey guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode. Today is a bit breezy, but the problem we've been having is with the arch. Now with the maple syrup evaporators, you have what's known as the arch. And the pan, or evaporator, we bought, and the arch we made. So this was actually made from a steam table. Yes, like the things they serve at like weddings and stuff like that. They're steam tables. Alright, everything is stainless steel. And actually it's really high grade. We ran our piping through there and into there. The inside of this we actually cut out. Eric cut out and re-welded it. So now it's got a little chamber down here. See? That's where the air comes in, is right down there in the corner on the far right. So it blows air into the fire, which supercharges your fire and blasts it into the back flues. All of these right here are little tiny pans that the syrup travels through and cooks it down. Sorry, nothing like making you dizzy with the lighting. So we lined it with fire brick, and then we also have fire board behind that. But we noticed a bit of an issue when we were cooking the last time. We were actually able to cook about 40 gallons per hour. That's insane. We've never cooked that high. When we first started, I think we were cooking like 15. So here's what happened. It's not as bad now, but this whole side was caving inward, both on this side and on that side over there. So what was happening is that brick you can see is starting to cave in. All of these bricks are falling inward. They're actually right now leaning on that back flue pan. But the bottom line is, this might not last too many more cooks. And this is our fire grate. You can see the fire grate is just completely melting down. And this is a steel. This is a steel grate, thick steel. Yeah, so that's definitely toast, and the insides are caving in. Yeah, and so the other thing that happened was we had some really nice fire cord. I think that's gasket, fire gasket. You can see it right here. And then, boom, fell right into the inside right there. Now, I had tried to go through and stuff it with this insulation material. It's fire insulation, but it actually ate it. The fire was so hot, it actually just burned the stuff right up. And that stuff is supposed to withstand some pretty extreme temperatures. So I don't know what temperature it was inside there, but I'm fairly certain you could probably melt steel inside there. So what does that mean? That means that we're gonna have extreme amounts of heat coming out right here. You can see all of this burning onto the edges down here. We've never ever had that before. Actually, this is all new. Usually this stays cold to the touch, but you can see that it's very, very hot right in this vicinity. And probably because there's no gasket right in there. And then this is all sugar. This is all sugar from the maple syrup because it was splashing so hard and then instantly cooking on the side. Again, never happened before. So why is our pan getting so hot this year, you might be asking? Well, there's a couple of things that we actually changed in order to increase our gallons per hour cook-off rate, which when you're doing maple syrup, you want a high gallons per hour cook-off because otherwise you're gonna be sitting here for a long time. Plus, the longer your syrup cooks in the pan, the darker and harsher the flavor. So by increasing our speed of cooking, we're increasing the product's viability, if you will. So here's what we changed. First of all, we added a steam hood. We put this over top so that as the steam rises, it gets caught by the fans and sucked out. In combination with that, I also went through and sealed off the upper ridge. Previously, this was all open at the very top. See, about that width all the way around. So the combination of the two, what would happen is the wind would blow in from any of the directions. It would sweep down, cold wind, over the evaporator, cool it down, take that steam, flip it up, cool it down, and then send that cold steam right back down into the room. By adding the steam hood and sealing off the top, we got rid of that factor. The other thing we did, we moved our fan blower inside. Previously it was outside. If it's sucking in cold air, guess where that air is going? Right into the syrup pans. The last thing we changed was the size of our wood. Previously we were using full-size split logs, what you would normally use for a regular fireplace in your house. Ideally you want tiny, tiny, tiny little chunks of wood because they burn faster and hotter. We switched to logs of this size. But the question remains, is this going to survive any more cooks? Alright, let's get this going. Alright, so you missed the whole drama fest, which was probably a good thing because you probably would have all like unsubscribed from my channel after all the curse words that just flew out of my mouth. But it's very, very windy. It's a very high pressure system. Very high. High pressure systems tend to make a crazy effect on the fire and everything involved. Low pressure systems tend to have a very low draw point. The fire has a harder time maintaining. High pressure systems, not that way. So I was 2 degrees away from syrup and I was getting really hungry. I was sick all day yesterday, puking my brains out, sleeping all day. So I was getting really hungry sitting in here, just so hungry. I put the fire in, checked everything. I opened this up in case it decided to go off, it'd be ready to go. And I went inside, made some coffee, heated up my leftovers, walked outside, I had my timer running, and I hear pew, 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 pew. The alarm on this thing was going off, and no joke, it said 229 point something or other, and my set was 220. 9 degrees over. You know what that means? I burned it all. My son was out here. Okay, he's gonna be 6 next week, so we're trying to increase his responsibilities on the farm and around the house. He was outside the sugar shack. He could hear it screaming. And it never occurred to him that something might be wrong. No, it wasn't his fault. I mean, I guess in hindsight, I should have turned off the blower. Usually I do. But because it wasn't that close to syrup and we hadn't been getting a draw in a while, I figured it'd be safe. That's why I have a blower switch, so I can turn it off just in case. And if you turn the blower off, it tones the fire down and it doesn't get out of control. Fortunately, it did not go all the way back into the flues. It stayed in the syrup pans. You're screwed if you burn anything at all. You're done. So I sucked out 4 gallons from my emergency draw off valve. I shut my fire down, shut the blower down, and drew off as much as I could. So I did test the syrup. The syrup is still exactly where it was, so I think that stuff's fine. Has a little hint of smoky flavor. So I still have half a container left to cook. Now the problem is that if you burn your syrup, you risk contaminating everything else for the rest of the season, because it always stays in the pan unless you drain the whole thing and start all over again from scratch, which is not ideal either. So I thought because it didn't burn all the way back that maybe I can just flush it through the system. So It still sucks because I lost a lot of maple syrup. I don't know if I'm gonna have any more made today. I might just end up cooking that whole thing down and being done. Yeah, it just really sucks. Really sucks. I could have potentially ruined the rest of the year. I don't know. I won't know until this stuff continues to cook up, and I've got a long ways to go. This is at 2:13. It might take me the rest of the day just to get back to syrup consistency because I pulled all of it out. And it's all going to be dark from here on out. We'll see. I'll see how the flavor turns out. If the flavor is still good, but it's just a little darker, we'll see. So I'm sure you're wondering how the rest of this came out. And the answer is, so far, from what I've been tasting from the syrup pan, it doesn't retain the burnt flavor at all. I think I've flushed enough of it out that it's kind of cleansed itself. However, it will never be as beautiful as it was before the whole fiasco. This is still very good maple syrup. If it's not pancake quality, if it's not eating quality, I do not bottle it for selling. I put it in the closet and I set it aside to make candy with whenever I get around to that. So, don't worry, I will not sell you anything that is an inferior product. But I am happy to report that the rest of the stuff in the pan seems to be doing good. So that's great. And as for my son, we had a little discussion as far as responsibilities. It was not his fault that my syrup burned. However, even at the age of almost 6, he does have certain jobs on the farm that he can perform. One of which is information scouts. If the cows are loose, if the horse is stuck in the fence, if one of the chickens is bleeding or the cat is limping, these are all things that he needs to report to an adult as soon as possible. If he hears a crazy sound, that's another thing. So it seems like a very small job, but it's one of the most important jobs on the farm is disaster control. So we're going to be kind of drilling that into his head a little bit more today. Just trying to emphasize that because as he gets older, he's going to have more responsibilities. So we're still rolling. We've got, I don't know, like 100 gallons left, maybe? About 100 gallons. I don't know if I'm going to be making any more syrup today. We'll see. I gotta hit 220. I might not get there. But that's understandable because all of my syrup is right there. That's all my syrup. I think I'm gonna feed it to the cows right before they go to the butcher so I can have maple flavored beef. Maybe I can sell it for just a little bit more money than regular beef. Wait, this is the first draw since burning the syrup. So, out of curiosity, I wanted to see if there was going to be a difference in the flavor profile. So what I did was I pulled all of the syrup out of the bottler as much as I could. There's still just a little drizzle left, so I put some on this little tasting cup. This is what I take to farmers markets or flea markets. This is a little tasting sampler. So I hand these out and let people taste the syrup and see if they like it, that sort of thing. But it will work perfect for testing the 2 batches because I want to know, is the flavor going to be different, the same, better, or worse? So it's really, really hard for me to get a gauge on flavor when they're already packaged up. I mean, okay, that was from the other day. These guys, this was 1.5 gallons right there. I'm really hoping this is going to turn out good. Stay tuned. Alright guys, we are up. We are rolling again. We're going to open this up a little bit more. Not too much. Oh, it's already a 1/2 degree over. Alright, so keep an eye on that pan. Looks like it's bubbling up pretty good. So I have to be careful with the camera too close to this because this whole thing is super hot right now. Like right here, it could melt my camera. So that is already bubbling a lot more than it should. That's coming out pretty good. Wait, which one is it? Oh, right there. It's almost a whole degree over. Okay, so it's coming down. It's gonna need wood pretty soon anyway. Oh, going back up. Okay, this is our first batch. First batch post-burn, but I am very thankful that we got another draw because I was concerned we wouldn't. All right, let me tend to this quick. Temperature's climbing again. I have to get in here and tend to the fire. All right, so I essentially turned off the blower, which killed the fire. Really made a big difference because it dropped and turned off like pretty much instantly. But this was still taking a while to filter through. It's gonna have a lot more stuff to try to filter out just because of its accidents. I mean, all this stuff can probably get pulled out. Whee! Yeah, it is kind of a tragedy throwing away all this beautiful syrup. I mean, it's being thrown away. You probably would have like at least a pint's worth of syrup left over from the filters. But it's just not really worth my time to go through and re-clean it 100 times. So let's turn this back on. Actually, we need to add wood, so let's do that first. Well, no joke, just did it again. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I'm wondering if the valve is getting stuck on my auto draw system. Maybe just gunked up with sap. I'm not sure. However, when I used this valve, this one definitely came out a lot better. So that leads me to conclude that maybe that one was faulty. It didn't go crazy over, but it was definitely up there. It starts buzzing when you get 3 degrees over syrup. So I was able to shut it down pretty quick. But hey, at least I got another draw. It looks like the syrup is recovering, so that makes me feel better. And all we can do is our best at any given moment. So here's to all of you trying to do your best with the day you've been given. Take care, guys.